Hello everyone, welcome to my channel A to Z Nursing Notes. I am Rupinder and today I will be talking about language requirements for NNAS. Before starting the video, I would like to thank one of my subscribers, Kiran Sani, for requesting me to make a video on this topic, and I thank you all other subscribers for supporting me. So let's get started. This video, it is the last video in the NNAS process. I have already made the videos regarding creating your online NNAS account, submitting your identity proofs, then submitting your nursing education forms, submitting your nursing registration forms, submitting your nursing employment forms, and this is the language requirements for the NNAS. When you register with the NNAS wants to make sure that you are able to speak, write, listen, and read in English and French proficiently. And this requirement, it may vary according to the province in which you're wishing to register, right? So let's get started. In this video, I will be discussing about the criteria for language requirements, acceptable tests, band requirements, when to give IELTS during the NNAS process, important information related to the IELTS test. Now, when you fill the NNAS application, if your main language is English or French, or your first language is English or French, NNAS does not require you to give the language test. But you are still required to prove to them that you are able to use these languages fluently. So for that, you have to prove to them that you have done your nursing education in English or French, and these education does not include your online or distance education. Also, you should able to provide evidence of practicing nursing safely where the main language was English or French. Now, for those whose first language is not English or French, for them language test is mandatory. There are certain provinces which waive off the language requirements, and these policies vary time to time and from province to province. Like at the time when I applied, Ontario waived the language requirement until your advisory report was transferred to the regulatory body, right? But you are still required to prove your language proficiency before getting your license. So in a nutshell, you have to give the language test either in the very beginning of the application or by the end of your application. Coming to the language tests acceptable, first and the most common one is the IELTS, that is the International English Language Testing System. Then is CELBAN, Canadian English Language Benchmark Assessment for Nurses. Then is TEF, that is a Test Evaluation de Français, right? And academic format of these language tests is required. Coming to the band requirements for IELTS, in IELTS you are supposed to get the minimum of these bands in reading 6.5, speaking 7, writing 7, and listening 7.5, and an overall score of 7. Band requirement for CELBAN, reading is 8, speaking 8, writing 7, and listening is 10. In the band requirement for French language, that is the TEF, reading you obtain a minimum score of 4, in speaking 5, writing 4, and listening 5. Now the most common question is, when should you give your IELTS test during your NNAS process? Now I will be describing you shortly what exactly the process is like. The NNAS application, it is valid for 1 year, right? So NNAS expects you to provide them with the language tests which are no older than 6 months before starting your NNAS process. So if you do the calculation, 6 months older result before the beginning of your process and the maximum time span of 1 year, so already 1.5 year is gone, and the IELTS test, they are valid for 2 years. So NNAS expects you to give a recent IELTS result so that when your advisory report it is transferred to your regulatory body, it is still valid. You are not you don't have to give the IELTS test or your language test again. So the language test, they are valid for 2 years, and when you give your language test, it depends upon the province in which you are applying for registration. Like when I applied, Ontario waived the language test requirement, so you can take the language test when your advisory report has been generated and your it has been transferred to your regulatory body. But in some cases the language requirement is not waived, so in that case you have to give your language test at the start of your NNAS application, right? Currently, I think yes, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, it has waived the language requirement with effect of 1st December 2021. But again, you have to meet the language requirements before getting your license for that specific province. Some important information: if you are giving your IELTS test after June 18, 2020, you can get your IELTS test results sent directly to NNAS via email. Now, when you are in this case, when you are booking your IELTS test, you can select they give you the option of if you whether you want to send your get your test results sent directly to the some organization via email. So you can always select the NNAS from the drop down menu, and your test result will be sent electronically, saving you time for your application. Now, if you have given the IELTS before June 18, 2020, your results will be sent to NNAS through mail. But if you want your results to be sent electronically, then you can contact your test center and provide the following information. That is, the NNAS account name is National Nursing Assessment Service, address 439 University Avenue, 5th floor, Toronto, Ontario, M5G 1Y8 is the postal code. There may be an additional fee required for the additional TRF form. Another important thing is that you can get your language requirement met by working in the unregulated roles under the SPE program, that is the Supervised Practice Experience Partnership Program, which is an initiative taken by Ontario and Ontario Health to meet the language requirements of the prospective candidates. If you want to know more about this program, I have already made a video on this program and provided the link of that video in the description box. So all the very best for you, and thank you. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.